Next on MLR Weekly, new Old Glory DC head coach Josh Syms, plus Major League Rugby headlines with Rugby Morning's John Fitzpatrick. Rugby Wrap-Up brought to you in part by Sheehy Auto Stores. It's easy at Sheehy. The Pig and Whistle, the world's best rugby pub. And Lean and Limber, stretching your way to a healthier lifestyle. Hello again, and welcome to MLR Weekly as presented by Rugby Wrap-Up. Matt McCarthy in New York City. Happy New Year, everybody. We have a festive show for you today. Not really. It's a regular show, but it's a good one to kick off 2023. We have the head coach of Old Glory DC. Finally, after all the searches and looking under the rocks, they found him, and we have him waiting in the wings. But first, we have to welcome in John Fitzpatrick with his Rugby Mornings Coffee Break. John, how are you?
Matt, I'm doing well. Happy New Year to you. I hope your New Year's hangover has finally subsided and you're now ready to face 2023 with a fresh start.
If only I could find a hat that fit me. But anyway, John, take us away.
Let's go. Let's start in Chicago. They have signed 2 forwards that they acquired in the MLR dispersal draft. Former LA Giltinis prop Charlie Abel and former lock Sam Perry, just adding more players from the dispersal draft. Season's right around the corner, Matt.
Great pickup with Abel. Very, very solid front row player. Next!
New England Free Jacks. They have added to their coaching staff. They've announced Will Webster will be an assistant coach. Webster has coached all over the place, primarily with the Kenya 15s and 7s program, Hong Kong men's and women's 15s and 7s. Quite a lengthy resume that they're adding in New England.
And I love what his uncle Miriam has done with the dictionary. Next!
That was pretty good. How about Old Glory DC? And I don't say that often with your jokes, Matt, but how about Old Glory DC? They've signed another Argentine, this time an outside back, Marcos Young. He's added a few days before the start of the preseason, which is really only about 6 days away.
Next!
Rugby New York, they have announced 2 re-signings, starting off with young scrum half, who's USA eligible, Connor McManus. He returns. Is he going to replace Andy Ellis? We'll find out.
Is there replacing Andy Ellis? No, but New York has 2 solid scrum halves in camp that were under the tutelage of Andy Ellis, who will be in camp as an assistant coach. Next!
Caleb Geiger, he has re-signed. Former American Raptor. He is a hooker. Bright young player, big guy. I would not want to tackle him in the open field. Not that I would.
Next!
How about, hey, happy trails to Rob Kane, former Women's Eagles head coach. He announced today on social media that he has stepped down from the program. So now USA Rugby is looking to hire 2 new head coaches, both on the men's side and on the women's side. Matt, you got any tips on who it might be?
I don't know who the women's coach is going to be. I don't know who the men's coach is going to be, but I do feel that both needed to be changed. Next!
Matt, that is all I've got. I'm excited for MLR, which is just around the corner.
All right, John Fitzpatrick of Rugby Mornings Coffee Break. Thank you. We'll be right back with Coach Josh Syms of Old Glory DC after this.
Selling or trading in your vehicle? Sheehy makes it easy. With Easy Trade, start online or visit us in store. We want your vehicle, and we'll give you up to 125% of KBB value.
It's easy at Sheehy. Sheehy.com.
If you're in New York City and want to watch some great rugby, have some great food, and some great times, go to the world's best rugby pub, the Pig and Whistle on West 36th Street. And we are back, and we're back with head coach of Old Glory DC, Joshua Syms. Coach, welcome to the program.
I appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
And so if we can introduce you somewhat to the folks at home that may not know, that have been in a cave or in a coma. You're from New Zealand. You've got a New Zealand rugby pedigree, and you grew up with your dad playing rugby.
Yeah. Oh, look, my father had retired when I was born. He'd retired from Auckland, but I obviously grew up with him coaching. So did a lot of coaching in the Auckland area, a lot of coaching with some relatively good guys, some Graham Henry and Sir Graham and a few people like that. And so, yeah, as a 6, 7, 8-year-old, I grew up with these guys coaching rugby and thought that was a pretty cool vocation. And the way they got to coaching obviously was through teaching. So I was lucky to I guess at a young age, to be exposed to some of those guys and really enjoy the way in which they spoke to young men and about rugby. And I thought, that might be something I might want to do when I get a bit older.
So filling in some gaps, you basically hung up the cleats at about 25 and you were teaching, and you were given your first coaching job by Joe Schmidt.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, pretty much. Joe's my teacher at school. He taught me English. He's an English professor, believe it or not. Hence why he's such a magnificent wordsmith.
Is his English better than his coaching?
Look, he's written one book. I think he wants to write a couple. But look, he employed me. He was a deputy headmaster. He employed me as a teacher. And look, if you read his book, Ordinary Joe, you'll see that my father employed Joe as a teacher back when he was a 22-year-old. So it was a little bit. I guess there's a bit of symmetry about that. And he asked me to come and teach, but he said part of teaching is you have to coach. And which is why I got into the profession. So I was still playing a little bit at that stage, but I broke my C5, C6 and thought wasn't really keen on carrying on playing at that stage, and coaching was going to be an easier way for me to go about being involved with rugby still.
You coached cricket.
Yep. Yeah.
Was that what he assigned you to coach?
Yeah. Interestingly, cricket's a sport that takes a lot of the day. It's a 7-hour game. It's longer than baseball. So part of that was I could still play and coach at the same time because we were playing against men's teams. So, it was an easy one for a 22, 23-year-old man with no kids and no wife and no family to have to worry about, that you could take the 7-8 hours on a Saturday and a Sunday to go and coach and play cricket. So yeah, that was the first team that I took. The first, I guess, seniorish team that I was coaching was the cricket side.
All right. So Americans, I got to tell you right now, we know nothing about cricket other than that it's the torturously long version of American baseball or Major League Baseball or baseball. I don't know why I said American baseball, but and it's got the white clothes and the sunblock on the nose, and you hit with a paddle. So when you're doing your press conferences, I would avoid any cricket lingo whatsoever. But how did that translate, coaching cricket into coaching rugby?
Coaching's people management, right? And what we do under pressure and how we react under pressure, regardless of sport, regardless of environment, is what coaching is. And for me, whether you're playing cricket, whether you're playing basketball, American football, whatever it is, you are reacting to pressure situations. And a lot of that comes from your upbringing. A lot of that comes from your nature, your nurture, the things that you've been through. And so understanding that regardless of sport is coaching. The technical parts of it, I believe you learn. The technical, the tactical, whether it's, I just spent half an hour yesterday with some baseball coaches, which I really enjoyed. That's the extra part. The big part for me is how you relate to people. And so that for me, cricket, rugby, doesn't matter what sport it was. What I want to do was relate to people and get them to do things that, get them to be better versions of themselves.
What interests me is that you rattled off just a couple of names, but you've been around All Blacks and All Blacks coaches or high-level coaches for a long time.
Yeah, I've been lucky in that sense. I mean, New Zealand is a very small town. And, we always say the moment we're the 5 million people and, we're a small, let's look at the DC area, we don't even equate to the DC DMV area, right? So, and if you're involved with rugby, you're an even smaller pool and 6 degrees of separation is probably only 3. And so, I've been lucky. Again, most of New Zealand's great coaches are educators, have come through the educational system or have been involved in that space. So, might be luck, might just be the way in which New Zealand's such a small place.
You did work your way up the ladder to the point where you got a good job, specifically, as you say, with everybody in New Zealand knowing about rugby and everybody that works in rugby all going for a certain amount of jobs. You became the head coach of Hawke's Bay, the Magpies, right?
Yep. Yeah. And again, it's...
Did you fall and hit your head and then suddenly decided that you wanted to come over to Washington, D.C. for...
No. Look, by chance, really, last year when I had some players affiliated with Hawke's Bay and DC, and when they were reaching out to talk about elements of their game, I started talking with them and spoke with James and James Willicks here, and sort of was happy in our off season to have conversations around where they could have, what I think they could help their game. Always been an American sports buff, right? And really enjoyed, I guess, there's not a fundamental difference, but there's a difference in approach. New Zealand has this tall poppy syndrome by where if you try and be elite and you try and tell everyone you're elite, you get chopped down. And the American sports system, for me, promotes elitism and celebrates elitism. And so, for me, I've always enjoyed that element of being elite and making sure people know you're elite. So, I've always wanted to come and then, 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 things together, and you get your wife and your 4 kids in the same place at the right time.
I'm going to say, you talked earlier about being a single guy coaching cricket, but I would say this is the equivalent in terms of having to move the whole clan over here. You're not a single guy. You have 4 kids and a wife, right? So you have to get them all on board.
Look, and part of that is we're going from, we live in a rural town in Hawke's Bay with might have 700 people, and we have sheep and cows and whatever. And so coming to DMV and being in Virginia and Arlington is deliberately do the opposite. So, part of that's life experience for my kids and my wife. And the other part of it is that, I genuinely see a challenge that this team and, the organisation have it as there's a challenging part to it. They obviously struggled last year and had all sorts of challenges and all sorts of things that they had to meet. And for me now, I look at that challenge and go, that's something I want to do. It's easy to be a coach and be comfortable and coach the same team to the same successes and the same environment forever. The challenge is going to somewhere new with new dynamics and new people and then being able to fit into that space and make change.
It seems like a great fit to me. You've got 2 owners that are actually guys that played rugby themselves. They're American guys, Chris Dunleavy and Paul Sheehy, and they are all about getting this thing right. And it was an exhaustive search to finally find you.
Yeah, look, hey, Waipawa and Hawke's Bay is a long way to go to find me, and the rocks that we hide under in New Zealand and the challenges. Look again, it was I don't imagine Paul and Chris and the organisation came to it lightly, and I think ultimately they, the stars aligned and things worked out, and my organisation Hawke's Bay was happy to, I've given them six going into my 7th year. They were happy for me to find some professional experience in other places. And the seasons now, much to New Zealand Rugby's discussed, the seasons do align. Our NPC season starts middle of July and flows through to the end of October, and it aligns perfectly with Major League Rugby. New Zealand Rugby stats, we've got 135 registered New Zealand Rugby players, coaches, trainers, administrators in the Major League Rugby, which is, when you look at the IP that provides, it's a huge chunk of New Zealand's rugby IP.
I've seen you with the Ranfurly Shield as a winner of that shield. This is a tough question in terms of I'm really looking for you to educate me and trying to be an objective about it. Is that a bigger deal than an MLR Shield currently?
Look, the Ranfurly Shield has 120 years of history. So slightly. And look, I grew up with my father winning the Ranfurly Shield for Auckland and losing the Ranfurly Shield for Auckland, and those things are, they're cool moments that you don't get taken. I guess we sort of look at it a bit like the Stanley Cup. I guess you'd say your name's on it, without physically on it, your name's on it forever. Right. And the Ranfurly Shield to the Hawke's Bay public is everything. It goes out to schools. I took it home. My neighbours had it at their barbecue for their daughter's graduation. We give it for people to take to funerals and to weddings, and so it's a really cool piece of history that only, I guess, very, very limited trophies in the world actually have.
All right, I want to change gears, and we're going to break for a quick commercial first. But we've had a tragedy in American sports in the NFL. We had Damar Hamlin go down in cardiac arrest, an extremely unfortunate situation. Have you ever come across something like that?
Yeah. Sadly, I've as a school teacher, you're exposed to 1,500 students, and I've had a student in a cross country race have a cardiac arrest, congenital heart defect, which we weren't aware of at the time, but it's unfortunately with life that those things, life and death, those things too happen. And look, sadly with Leon, we were unable. He was unable to come back. I've had one in a rugby game where one of my students have had the same thing. Unfortunately, those things do happen. We hope that our sports provide the safety so that again, concussion is a big danger, and spinal injuries are a big danger in all of these contact sports. But look, this is just an extension of life, right? Sport. Yeah. And death is and illness is an extension again of that too. So I suppose he's lucky, right?
Yeah.
I know of a rugby coach last year coaching in Kobe in Japan who had a heart attack in his hotel room and no one was there and he died, and that was that. He's had a heart attack or a cardiac event with probably 10 or 15 incredible medical staff around him.
You got there like that. Yeah.
Yeah, correct. And so hopefully, however many days, months, years, they can look back and go how lucky he was.
We'll pick it up on a higher note when we come back from this quick word. We'll be right back.
Been blind since I was 4, and I've never seen a beer commercial or a beer label. None of that stuff influences me. I drink beer because of the taste, and my beer's Pabst Blue Ribbon. It has the taste and the flavor.
What do you think's on the label?
I think there's a naked woman riding on a unicorn, jumping over fire. Oh, that's good beer.
And we are back with Coach Josh Syms of Old Glory DC. Josh, I can't let you off the hook. I got to ask you right away. What does DC stand for?
District of Columbia.
All right. Okay,
Yeah.
ladies. He's not just a pretty face, folks.
Hey.
He knows his stuff.
Geography teacher. If I got that wrong, we're in huge trouble.
Well, you haven't been here long, so all right. I got to go to one ugly moment in your past, and I just wanted to know, what was it that led to this? Was it did you lose a bet, or were you being was it punishment for some crime? Because I see you on Instagram wearing a Boston Red Sox hat.
Yeah. That's an interesting one. I guess when you're not American, you can fall in love with whatever sports teams you want to, right?
Oh, man, you don't know what road you're going down with New England Free Jacks fans right now.
Look, again, I
need to burn that thing on camera.
I've got plenty of them.
That's not helping. I'm trying to help you here.
Look, if you look at, I guess for me, the story of the curse was
the baby.
And if you're a sports tragic, that sort of story is hard not to be compelled by. And look, went to the Capitals the other night. I can say happy to be a Caps fan now. And I'm happy to be convinced by the Nats that they're the real deal too, right? At the moment, with Boston selling all their talent, perhaps it's a good time to get off the Boston train.
That's right. This is as good a time as any, specifically since you're going to be subject to Nats and Orioles fans in your area. All right, let's get back to you as a coach now. And I know that you said on the rugby site in an interview that you're not a big fan of the C word, the culture word.
Yeah.
So how about a stamp instead? What is the Josh Syms stamp on a team?
Look, relationships, really. Learning and growing and being a better player is based around, me believing in you and you believing in me. And so I'm talking about trying to convince guys who are 20, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, some of them 30, that they're not doing something right and they need to do it better. And you can go about two ways of doing that. You can go blunt force and you can bash it into them and until, they're blue in the face and they just have to do it. Or you can convince them that you've got their best interest at heart, and that you want them to be better people and you want them to be better rugby players. And so really for me, that's why culture's, I guess, the C word, right? Culture's organic. If you have players and a team that believe truly that you've got their best interest at heart and they have each other's interest at heart, then those things do grow and the environment grows and it grows organically. So, for me, relationships is at the heart of anything, and surrounding that is skill. And if we can build relationships, we can get better at our skill and our team gets better and our culture grows. So that's probably the stamp I'd want to put on this.
And you also have the challenge of coming in here and having to not only learn about living in a different country and a different city, and as you say, making the transition from small town to big city, but you also have to learn about all your players. I mean, other than tape, you don't know these guys yet, right?
No. Look, and isn't that the great thing? Isn't that the great thing about any environment? And whether you're in business, whether you're in sports or anything, the whole purpose is, can I find common ground with someone? Can they find common ground with me? Can we work together? It doesn't have to be in a completely, level, respectful space, but can we find common ground to get better out of each other? That's the great challenge. That's exciting, and I can work with New Zealanders in New Zealand, forever, but do I understand the backgrounds of these players, these coaches, these managers, these owners? Do I understand what they want? Can I then provide that for them? That's the exciting part of this job, I think.
Well, we're still in the silly putty mode. We're in that where you can really mold your own team at this point.
Yeah, 100%. We've just had, day one, we had a whole lot of, American national guys based in the States come in and get their gear and have their first introductions. And we're having guys getting off the plane, today from South America and guys getting off the plane from Europe and New Zealand. And part of that is, connecting with them and finding common ground, and everyone's feeling each other out. And we've got, the classic school dance with the boys on one side and the girls on the other. And we're waiting to find partners and see who can dance together, which is, that's the fun bit.
Absolutely. And when you're forming these relationships, you're as a player, what position did you play?
I was a hooker, poor one, but a hooker.
So you're odd enough in a way that you can talk to everybody as a hooker, right?
Well, theoretically, you're right. We've got the most. We go from having to have those really fine skills to having to have those really gross skills. So. I always find, hooker's a pretty crucial position in any team, but I do like to think it's the most important.
Are you able to speak to backs? Have you figured them out yet?
Look, I'm going to have to coach a bit of them this year. So probably we'll work it out. As I said, if they're running and we're lifting heavy, then we're okay.
At halftime, if the team's not performing the way you want them to, do you go in and take apart the locker room, or are you calmer, or is it you'd never know?
Yeah, calculated risk, right? Knowing your environment, knowing your timing. I've always said you've got two bullets, right? So in an 18-game season, you fire both those bullets in the first game. The rest of it's just an empty chamber. Good luck.
Yeah, lip service.
So, pretty much. So for me, you got to have purpose. Everything you say has to have purpose. Can't waste your words. And with that in mind, sometimes don't have to say a lot. You can walk in and say nothing, and people know why. People know what's going wrong. We just got to find the answers. Halftime's a search for answers more than it is a search for motivation usually.
Good point. And finally, we mentioned some big names in your past. Is there a particular coach that you style yourself after, or are you taking pieces from different coaches?
Look, Hawke's Bay's the Magpies, right? And I'm not sure your American audience know what a magpie is, but magpie birds take shiny bits from everywhere and make their nest. So I'd like to think I'm probably a good magpie, taking the bits I need from from those and from others, and from, you know, my father and my upbringing, and trying to take my own style to that. And I would say to the players too, same thing. You can't be anything but genuinely yourself. So you try and be someone else, you get found out. So I'd like to think probably bits from others, but probably my own style.
Well, Coach, I could see why Dunleavy and Sheehy like you, and I welcome you on behalf of Major League Rugby and MLR Weekly to the United States of America.
I appreciate you having me on, and happy to come back anytime.
All right, on that note, we are out of time. Thank you, Coach Syms. Thank you, John Fitzpatrick of Rugby Morning, and thank you for tuning in. Please check out our other shows, including the Rugby Odds, our college rugby wrap-up. Hit that subscribe button on YouTube. Sign up for our weekly newsletter, and please, 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 please join our American Red Cross blood donor team.